right, guys, today you're going to get to take a look at what we're doing mid-season with some hitters in K-Zone. We got some guys right in the middle of a high school season. They're actually about to start their playoff push. These guys are 80, 85 at bats in. We don't really want to break down swings today unless we have to. Our big focus is where they at mentally, where they at in their headspace and their approach, and are they ready to hit. Most of these guys we're working with today are proven hitters at the high school level, so we're going to make sure that they're ready, they're feeling good about their swings, and they're good between the ears before they make their playoff push.
You guys are going to follow me with Brady Haddle this morning. You've seen Brady before. Brady is our freshman that's touched 83.5 on the mound, 86 on a back pedal pull down, and doesn't have a high school spring season. So he's in the middle of a 6-week throwing program with me that we would typically run through the winter, but we're actually able to do that this spring. He's with us for prospect prep, and he actually starts up travel ball this next weekend. So instead of having a velo day as we had scheduled, we're going to get him down the mound and give some of Hunter's guys a look. We're meshing for that. You guys are going to get to see Brady take on some guys. After that, you're going to see what's actually my first session with Larkin Rao from Bullitt Central. Larkin is paired up with us for prospect prep, and I want to see him compete. We've got Luke Renfro, committed to EKU, worked with Hunter since diapers, I think. He broke a little bone in his hand earlier in the year, and he's working his way back. He just texted me and wanted to see baseballs, so we worked that out. Larkin's going to compete here with a guy that's already committed. So we're gonna go through that. I'm really trying to see how he's moving and what direction I want to go with him through the 8 weeks of prospect prep. After that, you guys are going to see me working with Keaton Kleinhans to get him really ready to go attack postseason high school baseball. He's a guy that has a ceiling of a Brewers locker someday, and there's work to be done. So we're going to start laying down that work. Keaton's also with us for prospect prep, and I want to make sure that we have a very clear, concise focus on what we are working on through the next few months.
First drill I want to do is our 1, 2, 3 drill. All right, you're pretty familiar. Are you familiar with 1, 2, 3 drill?
The countdown one?
Yeah. Yes, right. So it's the thing that we don't ever practice in practice. It's the preparing to hit, right? And it's actually having an intentional fluidity to our coil, okay? So it's the 1, 2, 3, and get our best swing off, okay? So you guys go self-paced on that for like 5 or 8, and then we'll go right into our command drill, okay? So we're taking our time, focusing on really getting prepped to hit. Sound good? All right, go for it, D. Good. Right. So I honestly think you can take a hitter, you can put them in this drill, and you can predict their success in game, right? So what we figured out is this. We figured out an exceptional launch quickness time, which means the time from when you hear my command to ball, exceptional, like big league quality, is 0.25 to 0.35, okay? Most hitters we're hitting with are anywhere from 0.4 to 0.5, okay? Here's what this means. This means that it's the time in which I've made my decision and I can get back to baseball, okay? So if you're a 0.45 and you're a 0.55 Hunter, and I don't know that's to be true, I think you guys are both quicker, that doesn't seem like a big deal to the naked eye, but that's like 8 feet of distance, you know? That 0.10, that's 8 feet of distance. So if you're quicker than Hunter, or Hunter's quicker than you, all right, we can be ready and we can continue to make decisions later and later and later. All right, you guys hit 3-4 in the lineup, okay? It's a blessing and a curse, right? You would probably be upset if you didn't see your name 3-4 in the lineup, but you also have to deal with what every 3-4 hitter deals with. Target is on your back, okay? So the idea I'm going to get over an 0-0 fastball every at bat doesn't apply to you guys, okay? So that's when we have to make really good decisions. And our ability to get our swing off quick is what helps us to do that, okay? So I'm going to challenge both of you guys. As we do this command drill, I think the big emphasis, I think you guys do a good job with our lower body engine getting ready, is preparing these guys and truly getting these guys to launch a swing, okay? And I think that's what I was going to talk to you about, D, is I think we're getting ready here, but these guys are kind of going from a dead standstill. And I think it sometimes can cause us to be a little bit body oriented. Okay? All right. So this is our position right here. Okay, from launch. Actually, this is probably it. Ready? All right, so notice this. What's our first move? And how quick does our bat blur? That's what we're looking at, right? I honestly have no idea who won that one. Okay, but I do want to note this. All right, so looking at this frame, it looks like Devin's right at contact and maybe ball is starting to fly for Hunter. So I'm talking we were probably bang bang, if not the exact same time, okay? D, let's take a look at this real quick. So here's what I'm kind of talking about, I think, with the preparedness in the hands, right? Our first move is a little bit of body and then the hands start to blur, all right? So my thought process is let's try to get more one-legged and get these hands, I think, from here to here. So, and not only does that set us up for good direction, but I think we blur them instantly there as opposed to moving before we blur. All right, now, go, go. All right, is we could just take 100 regular game swings off the tee, all right? But when we do these unique drills, we're just working on stuff, mostly body control stuff, okay? So the reason we did 1, 2, 3 to command, to see how quick we can get our swing off is to show you that the coil is absolutely essential. Okay, so that would not be possible to have a .27 and a .30 if we didn't get coiled, okay? I've been saying this to everybody today. Saw on a drill, Marcelo Zuna, one of my favorite hitters, questionable morals and ethics, but he's 36 and slightly overweight, okay? But he will not swing at a ball. I'm talking, he's the guy that, like, if they institute the replay next year in the big leagues, I don't think he'll ever miss one. Like, doesn't swing at a ball. Okay, he hits 98 every day, right? Have you guys seen 98 in box before? It's nuts, right? So not a fun time. He does it every day at 36, okay, and could probably drop 25. So he had a guy in the cage, he's a big leaguer, and the guy's going like this. And Ozuna's going like this. Okay, why would that help him hit a 100 in the game? That's it. He knows this, right? He knows I will be able to catch up to 100 and actually be on time for 100 if I can control my preparation. That's what he knows, okay? So the walk-in drill, that's all we're doing. We're not just making stuff up, all right? We're going to step in, and we're going to try our best to be in absolute command and control of our coil move. Good. Awesome. Commit, and you did that round, right? You committed to getting going really early. You're gonna have even more time, which is gonna feel weird. So I might back up here a little bit and try to get you a little bit firmer fastball, right? But like, it should open things up and allow you, give you the confidence to let the ball get even deeper in the zone, okay? That was one thing I never wanted to do as a hitter, was let the ball get deep. I was terrified of it because I know I want to be late, right? I know I don't want to be late, so I wouldn't allow myself to. So that was my default. My default was don't be late. Route down to the second baseman, you know. Good. I'm front tossing. I see a coil move, right? And I think you do a really good job of getting one-legged and getting this bottom half prepared. But I see a coil move and I see hands go, right? So from here, I don't know if we're completely prepped on the upper top, right? But I also know this. I know it's going to be really hard to keep direction that way if we start here, right? So if I go out my opposite middle infielder, right from there, it would look like that. It doesn't look natural at all, right? So I think this. I think our coil should consist of this, me going here, right? Here's the change. Launching hands from here, launching hands from here. Here I have a direct path to my second baseman, right? And here, I think what we do, especially in game, right? You're a really good hand-eye guy. In game, we see fastball, and then we end up going. So that's why you're like, oh, I'm all over this fastball. You hit one 87 to 93 off the bat to the shortstop. And you're like, what happened, right? I think this happened. And I think if this happened, that's a gap. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're not allowing ourselves sometimes because our body's starting to swing because we're not where we need to be with our upper half, okay? There's even more space back there. Good. Good. 3. I try to remember certain at-bats and certain looks, right? So like I can take myself to the Bullitt East field right now, and I can visualize and see like when I would launch swings, right? And I remember like I wouldn't let it get past right there. I had to get the swing off right there, right? And as I started maturing a little bit, which it was a little too late at that point, right? I would try to actually let these things get back here. And not really in the game did it ever take place, but in batting practice, I was actually able, like at 23, to go, I'm going to mean to hit the ball in the left center field gap and do it. It just happened by accident other times, you know what I mean? The front of the plate. You already hate this drill, don't you? Good. This is the Azuna drill. That's taking place right now. Two more. Good. Sweet. One more. All right. Really take my time. Here's what we don't know as hitters. We don't know that there's space behind our back hip, right? That's where we're trying to get to right now, as we're trying to get to this spot here, okay? So what that allows us to do is to be able to swing the bat out from our body, and this offset drill is really good to help. We're here. All right. Translation, I just hit that ball down the right field line, right? So this is an exaggeration type drill, but this is, there's room back here, and I'm going to go out from my body, launching the bat at the second baseman. That's center field, right? So anything we get down the net is a good job. You just hit that ball foul down the first baseline. You just hit that ball foul over the first base dugout. Hey, but that's fine. One more. Good. Now go straight in. Good. Good. When you look at a big league hitter, right? Just say a guy that hits in the threes, okay? Let's say Ronald Acuna. I watched him play almost every game 2 years ago. He's MVP. Right. He did have 40 homers that year, right? But he also went like this a lot. Single over the shortstop. He also went like this a lot. Single 4-0, right? So, like, these pitches out here, I used to, like, it would drive myself crazy. I'm like, why can't I hit those really far like I hit these really far, right? This is not because you're not really supposed to, right? Like, in a perfect world, yes, we will connect here, but I'm going to keep going out there. Be completely fine with a double in the right center field gap, okay? Yeah. Yeah, that's sweet. All right, so today we have a number of high school guys getting in and getting some swing work. The big focus is they are in the middle of a playoff push. They start their first playoff game this coming week. So hitters are mid-season, and certainly a few of them will work on a few swing things, but the big focus is, are we prepared and where are we at in our headspace? I've learned that most hitters, it's not a swing issue, it's a preparedness issue, and it's a head issue, my mental game, my approach, etc. So that's the focus for today, and we're hoping we help these guys out before the playoff run.
Yeah, everything's 1-1. Johnny, I want you to call it with authority, please. Your call, Ed. So let's talk about that, though, because he just barreled that, right?
Yeah.
That's a barrel that one hop to your left fielder.
You gotta think about it like this.
What
If he
base is
does
he
it-
on?
Probably first. I mean, fast person's on second, but if it's a one hop, you put that pretty hard. To get left.
Channing, you hit that 7 degrees, right?
What'd you say?
You hit that about 7 degrees.
Yeah, I hit that hard. Yeah.
That's in front of the left fielder, but hit hard, right? So are you going to make it to second?
What do you mean?
Is that a double?
Maybe if it's down the line, I can't really tell.
Maybe.
I
But
hit it really hard.
really good chance the left fielder comes over and gets it,
Yeah.
hits a cut, and you're on first.
Yeah.
So that's the exact same result as if
have
we're
to get
scared
the
of him and we miss 3 balls off the plate away. He's on the same base. So attack even the best hitters.
Yeah, I've gotten out my changeup and went to that too.
Yeah. So
It works so much better.
good timing here. I was about to either pick Holland or Hornback to name drop here. Hunter, what are you hitting on the season right now?
Me?
Yeah.
Like a 350?
So 350. That means 35% of his at-bats he's got a base hit. About half of those are extra base hits, right?
Correct.
So 17.5% of the time he makes it to second base or more when he hits the baseball. When he goes to the plate, 17.5% of the time he advances past first. So when we're in a full count, unless you look down and he's wearing pinstripes and 99, I want you to attack him. I don't care who it is in the state of Kentucky. That's the guy that's a Division I ball player. 17.5% of the time he sees second base or further.
It took me about 3 seconds ago. He's talking about you're going to do it.
1-1, 7 left.
See all the hands.
There's more valgus pressure on the elbow with a fastball than with a breaking ball. The arm's going faster, okay? So if we're comfortable with that, we've got repeatable mechanics. What we shift into is the idea that if I get people out and everybody hits 100 points lower when I throw this thing, let's be more willing to throw this thing when it doesn't make sense. Because everybody here hits too. When you're 2-0 against a guy that throws 83, I don't know about you guys and your approach and stuff like that. I'm done hitting. I've been done hitting for 11 years. I'm comfortable to tell you, when I was 2-0 against a guy that was going 83, I was trying to hit a Mitsubishi in the left center parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm swinging at something that's thrown with intent and looks just like that 83 fastball, and it's a 74 slider, it doesn't matter about the horizontal invert. It matters that I was swinging at this thing, and now it's this thing. So if we can do that all the time and locate it, it makes everybody uncomfortable, even though we're an 83 guy. Okay? I dressed up 90 to make it look like 95 a lot in college, because you had to be primary this, because the percentages said you had to be primary this. 91 on the hands with run feels like 95, 96 when you've been sitting on 78 to 81 all night. Okay? So don't be scared to make that your primary. When you get to call games, figure out what the guy's best is, for sure, and roll with that. Good work, guys. Of the insight I will give you will be after I see video. So right now, just compete. And I'm not going to really do any mechanical changes until the season's over. Especially with you not playing summer ball, we can dive in as much as we need to. Ed, you've got the go call here. Cameraman. You're good? All right, we're 1-1. Chan calls everything. Argue with Chan, it's burpees. Off. Yep. Free heater. Yeah, guys, we start everything 1-1. That's the biggest swing in the at-bat. It forces action from the hitter. We're not throwing enough to just see pitches. So if you draw a walk, you get middle fastball. What you'll find is that no pitcher in the world can actually throw the ball where they're trying to throw the ball. That's why I think catchers should stop setting up with their belly button on the black, but I digress.
I've never heard a pitcher admit that, though. Maybe that, if the pitcher started saying stuff like that.
The major league average is an 18-inch miss. The plate is 17 inches. Good pitch. Okay, I am going to talk to you here, step off. Okay. We're 1-2 to a lefty, and we just laid a breaking ball in there, okay? He's thinking, he probably thinks he got me there, but there's a chance he saw that really well. He just didn't want it. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a breaking ball with intent, but we're going to have it touch the ground behind the plate. It's the right attempt. Did that get your foot? Did that get your foot? In here, get out of the way. Don't be tough in here. Yeah. All right. Free, middle. So, I don't want to get mechanical right now. I want to mainly witness right now, but I will say your misses are consistent with the one thing that I've pre-identified, so I'm not worried about anything right now. Good pitch. It's a good pitch once. I don't do that twice in a row to Luke Renfro. Hey, let's do that twice in a row. Great pitch. Luke, you probably swing at that. That's out, right? Hunter, what you got? High school strike zone's big, man. I guess so. Don't swing at that next spring. But you swing at that probably 50% of the time, right? Yeah. I think I would still be playing if they called that one. All right, all right, we got a strikeout. One. Yes? Okay. All right, I'm not going to overcoach the first session. 1-2. All right, guys, so you all just saw Larkin get in here first time with us working together. He's a 2026 at Bullitt Central. He's pretty raw. He's got really, really long levers, probably pushing a 6'5" or 6'6" wingspan here. And I think we can get him pretty whippy. He's got a good movement profile on the breaking ball and a lot of arm side run. The big thing, we haven't even talked this yet, the big thing that I see with him right now is just a little bit of early rotation before a foot strike. So I feel like through the summer, he's with us in prospect prep, I feel like we can really kind of delay that rotation and get that lever length and displacement to really start cracking a fastball a little bit as we work to put on as much weight as we can. I was a tall and long guy myself. I kind of figured out what it takes to put weight on the frame, and I'm super excited to work with Larkin. How did you feel today out there?
I felt good. Felt like it's going to help me getting a lot of live ABs and stuff against live hitters.
Yep, so he just faced Luke Renfro and Colin Fager. Luke is committed to EKU. He's coming back off of a broken bone in his hand, and he just wants to see it right now. They fire up and play postseason baseball on Tuesday. We don't know if he's going to be in the mix for that, but seeing live pitching gives him an opportunity. And for you right now, those are two of the better hitters that you've probably ever faced. Yeah. So, hey, nice to get to meet you. Let's compete against some studs and see what happens.
Let's do it.
So I was happy with results there. We're missing low a little bit consistently, and that would be something I would expect to see while we're rotating before that foot gets down, because we're already drifting forward towards our target. We're not stable to turn and rotate and just crack the whip with a stable base. It's kind of drifting forward. It's a super simple fix to make, and I'm excited to dig in. 8 weeks, 3 days a week. I think we can do a lot. Good job, bro.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Yep. Different scenarios that could be thoughts in your head during the game. The center, the target, this is stuff that we're going to intentionally think about or allow to happen bouncing off our ears. I control this, and it helps me compete. The circle outside of that falls under I control it, but it doesn't help me get outs. Outside of that is outside of my control. If there's any we're unsure on, I'll hold them, and we'll go through that list at the end. Okay. So we are talking pre-pitch routine and what goes on up here when we are alone on an elevated surface between our ears. We just did the activity about what we're going to allow ourselves to think about, what we don't control. And essentially what we got down to is I control my breath, I control attacking hitters and throwing pitches with intent, and I control my hold time and my looks. That's the baseball playing stuff. I do control how long I get to hold this. We don't have a pitch clock yet, and even when you do, it's 20 seconds. It's plenty of time. So I control my breath, I control my intent, and I control that I'm attacking. Other than that, hold time, pretty much. Any thought that's outside of that is a waste of energy. We're doing a super complex task here. If you were under a heavy squat block, you had 315 on your back. Once you got down to full depth and you're right here, what are you thinking about?
Exploding up.
Up, push. Okay. Is this delivery a pretty extensive movement, pretty challenging for the body? Yeah, that's why guys like me teach it all the time. There's a lot to it. So we're trying to do an extremely complex task while we think about what our defense is doing behind us, what pitch was called, how my glove side is coming through, what my lead leg block is doing, when my shoulder is coming forward, the extension I get out in front. I'm trying not to pronate too early, and that was a strike. I'm 2-0, he's sitting fastball, now I got to throw a breaking ball. My breaking ball's been bad all day in the pen, and here we go. I'm going to end up flat here, I lead too big. All right, still a breaking ball, we really want to throw that here? I don't know. And then I'm going to go try to do a super complex max effort squat. We understand that the squat is challenging for the central nervous system because 400 pounds takes you to the floor pretty quickly.
Right.
There's a consequence that matters for life and death. There's not a life and death fail here, okay? But the squat simplifies what we think about. I am now currently under this bar. I must go that way or I go that way. When we get up here, there's failure or success on every one we go with. There's ball strike, hit, walk, HBP, win, loss, no decision because you got pulled in the third. Okay? There is a result. It's not a bar collapsing on you as your legs pretzel and fold under 405, but we can't have our central nervous system focused on riding a bicycle, keeping our knees in, and then eating ice cream at the same time. We're going to go over the handlebars at some point. So we have to simplify if we're thinking something mechanical, because you're not out of line to think things that are mechanical. If our glove side's yanking and I'm throwing the ball 3 feet to the left, I need to fix that, okay? So we need to turn that into one cue, something chantable that I can say to myself, and pair it with something about competing. Glove side tension and rip, glove side tension and rip, glove side tension and rip is similar to flat back, pull hard on a deadlift. We're trying to simplify what knocks around between our ears because our brain is doing a physically complex task. And we have to leave energy for that complex task or we flatten out, we miss up, we throw 81 when it's supposed to be 86, and we hear loud noises and we have to go back up the plate. And as we go to back up the plate, we're very alone running towards the stands that's cheering for someone else that succeeded against my failure. We have to simplify what we do, and that all starts with the pre-pitch routine and the breath. Every big leaguer has this. No high schooler I work with has solidified this before working with me. So what we're going to work through right now is what do you do before you come set and deliver a pitch? What can you do to slow down thought? Mechanically, right now, we are just an elbow back with a neutral palm back at the body, and it pulls across. We finish at the chest. I can tell you've been taught that in some way, right? You've been taught that. Okay. We're just dragging this here, and our head is coming over, following behind this elbow that's just going. Most of our misses this year have been where? Out. So we're dragging this way, and if it's not out, it's usually where? It's high. So we're putting ourselves late with a body that's collapsing this way. To me, that all starts with an early rotational drag across this chest. Okay, so what we're going to do is, all we're trying to do is limit the range of motion of that left shoulder so that it cannot pull our spine with it. Because I can sling this arm really far this way. I can't do as much here. I'm restricted by what my humerus will do at the shoulder. Okay, so what we're going to do in this drill, I'm going to have you come up, slow. We've done this before on this catch. We've done that before. What I'm going to do today, I've never actually done with anybody. I just thought about it with you. Okay? We are actually going to have a ball tossed up. You're going to catch that backwards. So pinky goes across, thumb goes up. We're going to catch that here, finish to the chest, and deliver a throw at 60 miles an hour. So, all right? Now,
It does feel a little better.
so now, does that feel exaggerated? Up. Here. Here. Just trying to gain the control for what you feel. Okay. Not reinventing the wheel. Just changing where your palm faces. Instead of this, we're essentially doing this. I'm forcing it right now. But if we're just trying to move clean, there's just less range of motion with that shoulder. I literally, basically, I'm trying to have you exaggerate it first and then fall into whatever feels comfortable. Instead of slapping the catcher with your backhand, I want you to give him a high five and then finish at your chest. I just think it's going to rip across less because our shoulders don't want to. That's as far as I can go. I can go farther the other way. Do that real quick. See the range of motion. It's pretty inconsequential as far as what the arm does with the baseball. But as far as where we position our trunk and our rib cage, we can have a lot more impact negatively this way. So try this. I literally just want palm first before the back of the hand. I think it's going to have a sizable impact immediately, pretty much. All right, let's lose the plyo so that we feel real.
I will say it feels a lot better without the fly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spin.
1 pound set. Go back into the walking windup. I always need you to be honest with me. I'm never going to change anything for the sake of sounding smart.
Right.
We need to let go of anything that's outside of that small circle. And then from a mechanical standpoint, when you think about this, what do you think about? Like, how could we say this in 5 words to help you remember this?
Slapping him with, or 5 words.
5 words or less.
Slap him with the palm.
Okay, let's make that shorter. What are you thinking about from a competitive standpoint in game? Like, what's the cue there? For me, it was like throw it through somebody's forehead, buckle somebody up, be violent.
Say make him uncomfortable.
Okay. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Didn't get the outcome I wanted. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Has your brain ever been that quiet?
No.
I'm talking the whole time, though. That's the thing. It's quiet because I'm actively saying something else. I'm not allowing other things in here. But if I'm trying not to think about anything, I'm not expelling things. It's the way human behavior works. Okay? On your way home, don't see a Canadian goose. Don't see one. Do not see a Canadian goose. Text me when you see the Canadian goose. Okay? Are you confident you'll at least be looking for it? You're at least going to look for a goose in the sky, right?
Right.
Why?
Because you made me think about it.
Because what you heard was not the command don't. What you heard and what you immediately pictured in your mind's eye is a Canadian goose. You were like, that's the one with the long neck and he's got the white band. It's kind of chunky. I see him at Target. You immediately saw a Canadian goose in your head, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, my shortstop booted a ball. I'm not going to think about errors and how they impact me. That's what I'm not going to think about. What am I thinking about? Errors. If you're thinking about what you're not thinking about, then you're thinking about errors. You're thinking about that hole in the rubber. That's not going to affect me today because I said I'm tougher than that, and I can totally pitch from the third base side of the rubber. If we're saying we're not going to think about something, we're actively giving it time that we're thinking about it. That's why we have a center circle of what we're thinking about. We're thinking about our breath and we're thinking about attacking. If we have something mechanical, it has to be short and brief, one cue that helps us compete. Right now, I genuinely believe shutting down your glove side, dragging you across the plate like this with that wide open elbow, I do think that is going to help you compete. So I will allow one quick burst of a cue paired with something about being aggressive. Okay? Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. Palm slap, make them uncomfortable. And then if we're in the third inning and you don't have to think about this anymore, maybe it just turns into, let's pump. Maybe it turns into that. And I know your mind's never been that quiet.
Right.
That's what we're trying to get to. But we can't think about what we're not going to think about, because then all we're doing is thinking. All right? Good work, kid. That's what I got.
All right, we're at the end of the day with K-Zone here. We got to work with some really talented high school hitters. We got to see Luke Renfro in the box for the first time in a few weeks, if not a few months, coming back from that hamate bone injury. Luke, we were really excited for him. He's a guy that is a strong kid and sometimes can get super muscly in a swing. So we got to see him swing maybe at 85% effort level. His ball striking was really good. I'm excited to see him play this postseason. We got to see Colin Fager, who's in the middle of a high school season as well. Colin did a really good job of getting prepared to hit, and we talked about sending his bat at the opposite middle infielder. And our goal there is to try to keep his bat in the zone for as long as possible. We saw Hunter Holland in the box today, who is a guy that will be with us in prospect prep, and he's a guy with a super high ceiling. A lot of college coaches really like watching him hit, and I do as well. We worked on the exact same thing as Colin. We want to see him take balls off the right center field wall if possible, and try to keep his bat in the zone for as long as possible.
You guys got to see Brady Haddle compete on the mound for the first time in a long time. We've really broken it down and tried to teach him the foundations of velocity. He's a natural hard thrower and didn't really know why. We've been focused on that velocity work for a while now. He's had some soreness in his back in the past that we've addressed as kind of just an acceleration-based imbalance. So we've been addressing that type of stuff, but he starts up travel ball here soon, and he's got prospect prep here in about 3 weeks. So we're trying to get him mound ready again. This isn't typically how I would do a velocity program, but I wouldn't typically be doing a velocity program with a guy in May. But since he doesn't have that high school season, we're introducing him back to the mound almost as if we would do in late January. So today we saw him just being an athlete and rotating and being violent. And sometimes that means we're missing to that glove side. So he hasn't laid down a bunch of stats. He hasn't been in tight spots this year. He's been training in shorts. So we train guys to play in pants. We're getting ready for that. So we're working on what you allow between your ears as you're competing. We're really focused on limiting and simplifying as much as possible. You guys got to see Larkin in here competing, and I think he's a kid that has such a high ceiling. We're far from it right now, okay? He's got weight to gain, he's got mechanical adjustments to make, but he has long levers, he moves fluid, and he's hypermobile, and he's locked in on my eyes on everything I say. He's a kid that I go to church with, and I think we clicked right away. I think the impact there is going to be quick. You guys got to see Keaton going to work on what he needs to do to compete at his highest level as we move through postseason baseball. I'm not going to talk too much about that because this may air before one of his postseason starts. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited about what we're doing there. And some of these guys are with us for prospect prep. Make sure you guys are subscribed to follow that journey. It's going to be awesome. Really, really excited to just go to work for 2 straight months.